Hi everyone, I just wanted to let you guys know what I've been up to in the past couple of months, mostly in the past month, that I haven't been able to get a video up. Uh, I will get back to it eventually. For the time being, they're going to be few and far between, but I will do my best once life calms down a little bit. I don't know, we'll see. Um, so anyway, if you guys have been following me the past couple of months, you know that I was talking quite a bit about my pregnancy. Well, I had my baby a little bit early, like 11 weeks early, and it was scary as hell. So I'm gonna fill you guys in on what happened and let you know how my little girl is doing. Um, Sorry, there's a stink bug in the house, and I'm making sure that he doesn't land in my coffee. I just heard him buzzing around. So anyway, beginning of April, I was hospitalized because I was diagnosed with preeclampsia, and they were monitoring me. Well, they thought I had preeclampsia, but at the time I was asymptomatic. I spent a weekend there. My blood pressure got under control. Stupid stink bug by the light. Sorry. This little guy's freaking me out. So anyway, so I was hospitalized for a weekend, and at the time I was asymptomatic, so they said, go home. You're just going to have to come back every week for an OB appointment and an ultrasound to make sure that baby's okay. Well, she was developing, but she was very underweight. She was like 2 weeks behind in weight. So that was a concern. They were monitoring that. One of the things with preeclampsia is it affects the placenta. And so that means that baby's not getting enough of whatever she needs to grow. That's why she was so behind in weight. And it can also restrict the blood flow to the baby. So all kinds of monitoring for that. So I go for my weekly appointment with my OB on the 29th of April. And my blood pressure was through the roof. So she said, go to the hospital with the maternity ward. That was like 40 minutes away from where I was having my appointment. And you're not allowed to drive. So thank goodness my mom was there. Otherwise, I would have probably been bundled into an ambulance. And that would have been a fun phone call to my husband. Anyway, so we go there. And I get admitted. And they start running tests. And they start giving me medicine to help not only my blood pressure, but also some stuff to help the baby's brain and lungs develop a little bit more in case of early delivery, which they were saying is going to happen at some point. We don't know when, and you're not leaving here until it happens. I'm like, shit. What? So I could have spent like a month in the hospital. So anyway, tried to be resigned to it. Joe got there, brought me all kinds of stuff to keep me entertained. I had my notebooks, I had my computer, I had books to read, I had my planners. Like, I was pretty well entertained. And then people would come and visit. I wasn't on a carb control diet this time around like I was in earlier April, so that was nice. And people, so my parents like brought me food sometimes when I was sick of hospital food. And so yeah. So my blood pressure was getting under control and everything. I was, you know, so, long story slightly shortened. Um, Star Wars Day, April 4th. I had a whole bunch of visitors. And there was a Star Wars marathon on TV, so we were watching Star Wars and hanging out, and it was nice. And I had been having back pain like all day, probably from those hospital beds, which are not comfortable at all, and they're not made for tall people because I was kind of like squished. So after my friends leave, I went for a little walk around the unit and it wasn't helping my back. So I went and laid down, and all of a sudden I get this god awful pain in my abdomen. And I call my nurses and I'm like, something's wrong. I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. Like, it hurts like hell. I don't know if something's going on with the baby. Like, what's going on? So they put me on the monitor to try and, keep track of her heartbeat and stuff. And she keeps moving. If you've ever heard a baby's heartbeat on the ultrasound, it's like kind of sound. Well, in between that sound, it's like somebody blowing on a microphone, and that was her moving around. So she would keep moving, and they'd lose her on the monitor. And then they'd have to come in and readjust everything while I am in such god-awful pain. They start running tests. I got an IV in each of the crook of my arms. It was awful. I'm scared to death. What do? I call my mother. 11 o'clock at night. Can you come back to the hospital? I don't know what's going on, and I don't want to bother, wake up Joe in case it's nothing, and blah, blah, blah. So she comes. She's sitting with me. I'm breaking down for the first time during this whole ordeal, because I'm realizing that something bad is going on. And I don't want anything to happen to my baby. Just all of the emotions are just pouring in, and I broke down for the first time in a week. And so the tests come back. My liver was going into shutdown. So that's not good. So they said, okay, we have to do a C-section. And I'm like, what? So by that time, it's 1 o'clock when they're getting the test back. So they had to figure out if it was safe for me to do the C-section right away, or as soon as they could get everything prepped, or if I had to wait, because I was on blood thinners, and there was a risk that I could bleed out, stuff like that. Well, my numbers weren't getting any better, and they were steadily rising. So everything, stuff was going to start to shut down. So they started making preparations. Meanwhile, I'm trying to get a hold of my husband. He had his phone on vibrate. We had to call my in-laws, get them over here to wake him up. So anyway, he arrives at the hospital, and I start feeling a little bit better. My dad and my sister come. My in-laws are there. So they're making preparations for the surgery and everything. I get wheeled in. They get me numb. And if any of you mamas ever had a spinal, let me know how bad you had the shakes, because I had the shakes the whole time I was in surgery, and then the couple hours it takes for that shit to wear off. Oh, it was oof. But anyway, so I'm in the operating room. Joe's with me. He's all scrubbed up, looking so funny. So I'm trying to keep my eyes on him. And focus on him and not focus on the knowledge that people are doing stuff to me and I can't feel it. I'm aware that it's happening, but I can't feel anything. And it was the weirdest feeling in the world. And then at 6:14 on Cinco de Mayo, Anna Sophia came into the world. All of 1 pound, 11 ounces. I told you that she had stopped growing. I mentioned she was small. She was very small, and she was 12.5 inches long. Oh my gosh. So the NICU team was there, and they're getting her stable. They're getting her on a breathing machine, and she gets wheeled to the NICU. I'm on more medication for my preeclampsia because to get my blood pressure and everything under control. So I couldn't see her for a whole day. I was going crazy. So that was Sunday. Monday, I get off the medicine. And it took me another couple hours to get mobile again. And Joe wheels me down to the NICU, and I get to see her for the first time. And she is in the little isolette. And she's all hooked up to wires, and she's got a breathing tube and a feeding tube, and she's just so tiny, and but she was perfect. So she's 12 days old now, and I've been going to visit her every day, and I'll sit there all day at the hospital. And I help out with the hands-on care when they change her diaper and stuff like that. And when they're running a test and she's freaking out, they showed me how to put my hands on her to calm her down. And I got to hold her once. I got to hold her on Mother's Day, which was probably the best present I could have received. But right now she's on different things to help her breathe, so I haven't been able to hold her again. But yeah, so that's what happened, and that's why I haven't been able to make a video. Between me being sick and now Anna being in the hospital. Not sure how long. They're thinking a month, but I don't know. It all depends on how she decides she wants to be. The nurses all say that she's sweet and feisty. She doesn't like to be messed with. She has a habit of pulling her tubes out. She pulled one of the breathing tubes out the other day. And they couldn't believe how strong she was because she's so tiny. But yeah, so yeah, I'm a mommy. I've been trying to fall into a routine now with writing and stuff. I haven't brought my laptop to the hospital yet because I already bring so much stuff, but I've been bringing notebooks to try and write and trying to come up with like stuff for Patreon and stuff like that. So, yeah, that was long and rambly, but I just wanted to fill you guys in, and now you know what's been going on. So I have to go. I got to get my stuff together. My dad's coming to take me to the hospital to see her again. I can't drive for a couple of weeks. So, they said 3 weeks. So that's Memorial Day. I'm taking my keys back. And then I could drive and I don't have to be such a pain in the butt to my family. um, so yeah. So that's it. Like I said, videos are going to be few and far between now. Um, but I'll one day get back to it. Because I really miss making videos, but my family comes first, especially now. So, I will talk to you guys later, and have a great day. Bye.